Okay, so now that we understand some basics of threads in Java, I want to make use of them in a lab to do something cool. So lab 6 is on something called road detection, which is, I imagine, something that Tesla's automated vehicles do at some point. So you notice that this lab comes with a picture of a road. And what we want to do is figure out where the edges of the road are so that we know not to drive off of it, okay? And also where the lane is so we can stay in our lane. And to do this, what we're going to do is look for lines in this image. So I can see that the edges of the road's pretty straight here. So I can see there's a line there, I can see there's a line here. I can see there are lines along this thing as well. And also there's a line at the horizon too, okay? So the most important lines are the lines here in the road, but we may inadvertently detect the horizon. That's okay. So what we're going to do is try to see if a bunch of lines fit. And here's where parallelism can help. You can actually check different lines on different cores or different threads at the same time. And that'll make it faster. So that's what you have to do. But let me just show you the basic program real quick. So if I go back in here, let me open up that folder. It's Lab 6 Road Detection. And this process of detecting lines is called the Hough transform, H-O-U-G-H. And I've already done this for you. In fact, I've done quite a lot for you. There are other files here that are helper files. There's a file that computes edges and things like that using some multivariable calc tricks, which I'm happy to tell people about, but you don't have to know them. What you really have to understand is you're going to make this Hough object, which takes an image of edges that are computed somehow. So you don't have to touch this code. And it's going to check some number of angles, so 4,000 different angles, and 4,000, and then 1,000 different offsets. And there's something called a threshold here. Okay, so let me run this code and show you what it does. So I'm still in the threads directory from before. So I can say cd dot dot. That will go up one directory. So now I see I'm here, if I type ls. And now I can say cd lab 6 road detection because it's also in that folder. So I changed into that directory, ls. Okay, here I am. So let me try to run this file hough.java. So if I say javac hough.java, so this actually takes 2 command line arguments. So if I run just Hough by itself, it says, you need to specify an image path and a threshold. Okay, so I have this image called road.java. So I'll type road.java, Java Hough road.java, and I'm going to type a threshold of 5. Okay, what does that actually mean? Let's see, it's still saying the legal argument. Oh, whoops, sorry, it's not road.java, it's road.png. It's an image file. Okay, so now this is going to run. And when it's finished, it's going to create an image here. So that took about 8 seconds. The image that it creates is called edges.java. Okay, so this detected all these lines. So like I said, I was able to detect the left of the road, the right of the road, and then the lane in the middle. And it also ended up detecting the horizon here. So this number 5 is a threshold that says, I need the lines to be so strong. So 5 was the number. If I make it a little higher, if I make the threshold 10 instead of 5, that means that I'm being a little stricter on what I consider to actually be a line. If I let this run and then I look at the result, so what I see is, let me open the new one. I see I don't get as many lines. In fact, I missed the right of the road here. But it's a little cleaner, so I don't have all these lines around the horizon. I just have one now. So it's a trade-off. You know, it's how strict am I going to be with what I consider to be a line. Okay, but what this does in the code is, so there's a constructor here. It takes an image as a parameter, which I've already loaded and computed edges for. And it says, how many angles do you want to check? And for each angle, how many offsets do you want to check? And it just goes ahead and stores those as variables here. And then it computes, it gets all the edges here that satisfy those criteria. So it loops through all the possible angles here. So from a is equal to 0 up to n angles. And for each angle, it loops up to some offset. So it's saying I could put a line through the center and rotate it all these ways, but I can also move the line away from the center and rotate it all these ways. So this will go through all possible lines in the image. It will compute an energy of the line, and if the energy exceeds a certain threshold, it will draw the line. So what I want you to do in the lab is turn this into a thread. So you're going to implement the runnable interface. And so you'll turn this method, get edges, into a run. So this should run inside of a thread. And what you should do is split up the computation by angle. So don't do all of the angles in a single thread. Have one of the threads do, so there are like 4,000 angles here. Have one of the threads do the first 1,000. Have another thread do the second 1,000, and so on. So you'll want to pass to the constructor, you want to have a couple additional parameters, not just the number of angles, but where you start and where you end for that thread. And you want to see how much faster you can get the code to run. Okay? So you're not really writing that much code, you're just understanding how to rewrite some code that's already given to you to use threads. And you're going to have to make this thread safe. So these are drawing lines. These threads are going to draw lines at the same time. You're going to have to lock this image before you draw the line. Okay? So this is drawing the pixels on the line, so you have to put a lock here. You're going to have to lock something for this to be thread safe. But it's not very much code. It's just going over the concepts for threads, and it's a very cool application. And you can try your own images too, right? This is passed as a command line argument, so road.png. So you could try it on your own images, and you can mess around with the thresholds and see what you get. Sometimes it's pretty easy to try, or it's pretty interesting to try this line detection on an image of buildings in a city, because buildings also have a lot of straight lines on them. So you can, if you're bored, you can try that out. But so that's what Lab 6 is all about. So on Friday, we're going to workshop this lab. Okay, so hopefully that'll be fun. And I will see you on Friday.